total solar eclipse, Earth will be filled with bugs. There is not a single person on this earth who has ever seen an event like the one we are going to witness on April 8, 2024. NASA is calling it a total eclipse because of how long it is going to stay. While this eclipse could be a new happening or just a solar event for the rest of the world, the Prophet has guided us quite well in this matter. The timing and duration and its coincidence with so many other events makes us think about this solar eclipse with more attention. What's even more important is that another very rare event is going to happen during the same duration of the total eclipse. The solar eclipse that we had in 2017 lasted 2 minutes and 34 seconds. This time, NASA is expecting a much longer solar eclipse, which is rare because nobody has ever seen this happen before, not even our elder generations. Some studies do estimate that such a solar eclipse happened back in the 1800s, but that is just a rough estimate. Most studies agree that the conditions and coordinates and time that have coincided this time are happening for the first time ever since the beginning of the universe. So this total eclipse is going to be even longer than the one in 2017.
They did not know it was their last Ramadan. So what excuse do we have now to not learn the Book of Allah? This Ramadan, learn all the stories from Quran in 30 days. Order your copies now.
There are so many events that are aligning right now with the dates of the total eclipse. Do you remember that the Jews authorities are planning their much-awaited red heifer ritual by the end of March? The event is supposed to be super secretive, but there is some news and comments coming out from the Rabbi. They say that the sacrifice and preparations might happen in March, but the offering of the ashes of the heifers can only happen in April. Because it is Ramadan and the shayateen have been locked up, they will have to wait for them to be free for this ritual to be performed. We are still not very clear about what is happening exactly and why it is happening. But so many events have aligned with each other so precisely that we are bound to think and find a connection. When we look at the hadith, we see that around 14,000 years ago, during the time of the Prophet peace be upon him, there happened a long solar eclipse. What did the Prophet and the Sahaba do? Narrated Aisha radiallahu ta'ala in Sahih Bukhari. In the lifetime of Allah's Apostle, peace be upon him, the sun eclipsed, so he led the people in prayer and stood up and performed a long qiyam, then bowed for a long while. He stood up again and performed a long qiyam, but this time the period of standing was shorter than the first. He bowed again for a long time, but shorter than the first one. Then he prostrated and prolonged the prostration. He did the same in the second rak'ah as he did in the first, and then finished the prayer. By then the sun had cleared. He delivered the khutbah, and after praising and glorifying Allah, he said, "The sun and the moon are two signs against the signs of Allah. They do not eclipse on the death or life of anyone. So when you see the eclipse, remember Allah and say takbir, pray and give sadaqah." The Prophet then said, "O followers of Muhammad, by Allah, there is none who has more khaira than Allah, as He has forbidden that His slaves, male or female, commit adultery. O followers of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, by Allah, if you knew that which I know, you would laugh little and weep much." This eclipse is getting very much attention. Firstly, it is coming in the Ramadan. The last Ashra of Ramadan might be on the 29th night. Will this be our last Ramadan? Who knows? This is the same Ramadan that the Jews chose to perform their long-awaited rituals, the sacrifice of the red heifer. This event is so important that it is only happening after some hundreds of years and is not predicted to happen for at least the next 375 years. All these coincidences prompt us to think that the timing is quite fishy. Something is going to happen. And we also know, brothers and sisters, that once a single sign of the Day of Judgment happens, the others will start happening right after. It won't take long for all the signs to complete and Imam Mahdi to arrive. You will be amazed to know that there is yet another event that will happen during the total eclipse. During those 5 minutes, the temperature of the earth will suddenly fall. This will be a signal for the underground cicadas to come out. Geologists are saying that this time there are 2 major broods of cicadas deep under the ground, which will be emerging during the total eclipse. The rare double brood event hasn't happened for over 200 years. It last occurred 221 years ago in 1803. Shortly after a 17-year cicada nymph hatches from its egg, it burrows into the ground, where it spends, as its name suggests, the first 17 years of its life. When it emerges from the ground, it lives only 4 to 6 more weeks, just long enough to mate, fertilize, or lay eggs, and start the cycle all over again. Some are calling the upcoming double emergence a cicada apocalypse, making up visions of a world clogged with insects in every nook and cranny. This means we could be looking at creeping and crawling insects all around. In some parts of the world where the cicadas have been hiding for the last 200 years or so. We do not even know for sure in which parts of the world the cicadas are living and in which parts are they not. So those 5 minutes of the total eclipse are going to be a very unexpected and unpredictable event in the coming days. Narrated Abu Bakr, Allah's Messenger ﷺ said, "The sun and the moon are 2 signs among the signs of Allah, and they do not eclipse because of the death of someone, but Allah frightens His devotees with them." All these events happening one after the other are not in vain. They have a purpose and a wisdom behind them, without any doubt. But only Allah knows the complete knowledge. But one thing is for sure, the eclipse and everything around it is supposed to frighten us, remind us of the bigger existence of the Almighty. Narrated Abu Huraira radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam said, "The hour will not be established until the sun rises from the west, and when it rises and the people see it, then whoever will be living on the surface of the earth will have faith, and that is the time that no good will it do to a soul to believe then, if it believed not before." This total solar eclipse could also be the sign of the arrival of Imam Mahdi, with the Jewish rabbis so ready for their rituals and the construction of the third temple. Things have really started to round up. Jewish rabbis think that Dajjal is about to come, but little do they know that before the arrival of Dajjal, Imam Mahdi alayhi salam will have to arrive, who will unite the Ummah and finish Judaism and the fitna of the Jews from the very roots.